This particular passage here is one of the most critical scriptures in the Bible itself. Many people put this along with John 3:16, and what you must understand when you study the book of John, some people call it Salvation 101.
All right.
Because in the book of John, it really tells you all about Jesus, all about what he was sent to do. And a lot of people, as soon as you accept Christ, the first book they tell you to read is read the book of John.
Amen.
And what's funny about this, when I was reading this, I was thinking about the recent activity that went on. Before we go any further, let's give the Lord's hand praise. For truly it is official. We do have a black president. Let's give the Lord's hand praise. Well, I couldn't help but laugh. It's funny. We're living in a world where they want to throw God out.
Amen.
But as soon as something goes on, as soon as something important happens, as soon as something spectacular happens, as soon as something happens where we're in trouble, they want to call on God.
Amen.
All throughout inauguration, God bless the United States of America. We want to be the land of the free, and we want everybody to worship whoever they want to worship. But when it's time to really get something done, they want to say, God bless the United States of America. All throughout the oath, you at the end of it, you heard, so help me God. Anytime there's an oath, so help me God. When you in court, it's so help me God. It seems like when we in trouble and need to get something done, we then realize there's no other way but God. But when everything is doing good, when there are many other ways.
All right.
You know, we are, truly, I must admit, I'm glad that America has it to where you are free to worship who you want to worship. But on the same token, you got to understand that can't nobody do it but God and God alone. I don't care what you want to call God, it's God. Even if you want to say, well, I don't worship God, I worship Buddha. You may be worshiping Buddha, but it's still God working on your behalf.
Come on, say that.
Thank God that we truly have a God who, despite our ignorance, still loves us enough to do what he needs done. I know I'm the type of person, if I'm paying somebody's bills and they want to say, well, my bills can get paid many other ways, I'm going to tell them, well, find one of them other ways to pay your bills. Because although I was the only way you're paying your bills, since you won't acknowledge all these other wondrous bill payers, then you go accept them. But I thank God that even when I wanted to acknowledge somebody else was paying my spiritual bills, God still paid my bills. It's funny sometimes they get into this thing that is just, I'm God, and they even went on to go this far, I'm God, you God, and we God. If we God, then I understand why we're in the shape that we're in. If I'm God, I can understand why some of the mistakes are being made. If you God, I can understand why the world look like it might be on their way to hell in a handbag. Because you can't lead yourself half the time. So if you're trying to lead the whole universe, I can see why we're in trouble. But there's no other leader. They say we want to attribute science to everything. Well, it's not God that made the world spin. It's the way that the air and the molecules set themselves up. And if I'm going to allow myself to agree with the fact that it is the air and the molecules, there had to be a source from which the air came. There had to be a source in which the molecules came. So when it's all said, that's why we sing that song, for you are the source of my supply. Yes, I may have some air, but my air had to come from somewhere. Yes, my blood may flow through my body, but somebody had to place the blood there in the first place. Yeah, Adam and Eve might be the ones who jump-started mankind, but somebody had to place Adam and Eve there in the first place. Even if I want to believe in the Big Bang Theory in which something just blew up and out of nothing came something, someone had to press the button for it to go there in the first place. So see, no matter how far you want to take God out, God have a way of busting through the door, bring this here in. I'm going to make this thing so plain that some folk who looking at this thing when we videotape it don't get upset. Sometimes because we want to make people happy, we have decided during the Christmas holidays we don't want to say Christ, but we want to say X. You see many places say Merry Xmas. For prophetess, you say you can't stand it, but I'm going to give you something to work with. If you look at your Greek letters, Christ starts with the letter X. So when they tried to take Christ out, they put Christ in there.